What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Podcast with me, Suddy, and this is Shyam. And today we have a special guest, Karthik, who has his own podcast, The Front Three, and he's a massive United fan. And we're very grateful for him giving us his time to talk about the Premier League. So, how's it going, Karthik?
Yeah, all good. Happy to be here. I'm always happy to come and help out startup channels and startup podcasts because I am one myself, and I needed as much help as I needed when I started.
Yeah, you're a good man for doing that, Shyam. So we have two Shyams. Karthik's the guest, Karthik Shyam, and then we have Shyam, who's always on here. I'll talk to Shyam now. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. Less goals on the weekend than last few weeks. Yeah, not so many per game, but some very interesting results. Lots of late goals as well. Seems to be becoming a theme this season.
So we'll start off with kind of the smaller games as we always do before getting to the big talking points. So Shyam, you said your player of the round last week was going to be Michael Antonio for West Ham against Man City. Man, he scored a bicycle kick on Rooney's birthday against Man City. That was for me. It was a lot to take it, as Mourinho would say. That's football heritage, man, for you. What'd you make of the game?
Yeah, it was City didn't really. You could see after West Ham scored, they got momentum and were really pushing until the end. The goal itself was fairly controversial. It's one of those ones where I think if they let it go, fine. If they called it, fine. It's really kind of 50-50, but you wonder with all the video and all that how it turns out. But yeah, it was a really good goal by Antonio. He kind of held the fella off and did the bicycle kick at the same time. And I just thought he had a goal in him against City, and I wasn't sure if it would change the result, but some really good keeping got West Ham a point there.
Yeah, Karthik, I was just watching the match itself. I was just wondering, why do you think Foden came on so late? Because for me, he's a game changer. I think he's one of the best teenagers I think he's 21 right now, but one of the best young players around. What's keeping Guardiola from kind of playing him a bit more?
Because he's Guardiola. he loves to give it the big one, saying that he called him the best young player that he's ever worked with. And
did he actually say that?
He said he's the best player he's ever worked with, and I'm just looking at him like, you don't play him. So how could you even say that? But I don't know why. He is a fantastic player, unfortunately. He looks like the most natural replacement for that David Silva role, yet he doesn't seem to be playing every week there. Yeah. But he came on and he did what he had to do to prove that he should be playing. So you can't ask for more than that.
Well, Shyam here has a few opinions, but what do you think is stopping City at the minute? Because it seems to me, right, every time Guardiola gets into his third, fourth season, he's a team that he can take great teams and make them better for about 3 to 4 years. He's never actually rebuilt a team. Do you think that's kind of playing into now? It's kind of proving to be that he's not a legacy manager. He's just the kind of manager that does the job for the first 2 to 3 years.
Oh yeah, he was never a legacy manager. He's always the manager where you come in, he wants to play a certain way, so you have to have things in place for him. I mean, credit to City in one thing, in that before he came in, they were ready for him about 4 years before he came in. They had their sights on him. They brought in all his staff. They brought in everyone that they thought would work well for him, and they were ready for him. But as we're seeing now, he's getting found out a little bit. I think just looking at the transfer window, you can see how much they sort of panicked and went, you know what, we need to chuck everything into this defence again because it's just not happening. What we can point to, that I can't point out what's particularly wrong with City at the minute, because they just look very off the pace. Now,
we do,
my opinion is that whenever you look at these teams that aren't performing the best, you don't like to use it as an excuse, but in the current situation, it is a question. Is it because they haven't had a pre-season? That is the main question. It could just be down to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think Shyam kind of pointed out similar things where if you look at the 3 teams that kind of played the extra 2 weeks, Wolves, United and City, there's obviously a kind of start-stop. There's obviously United's got these issues, but look at Wolves, they've also kind of very start-stop, and you definitely have a point there. Moving on to my favorite game of the round, Leeds and Villa. Patrick Bamford coming up with a hat-trick, but those second and third goals, man, Dennis Bergkamp-esque. Karthik, what do you think? What do you think of Bamford, man? Is he pushing for that England call-up, or?
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely in the shout there. I think the only competitor to him is Calvert-Lewin at the minute, because obviously you're not getting ahead of Kane. I'm just fuming because I had Bamford in my fantasy team and I took him out and then he went and scored a hat-trick. So I was just fuming. But no, he is one of those players where you look at him and you go, you shouldn't be this good. Yeah. But he is. especially when they signed a player like Rodrigo. You thought, oh, well, that's him going to be starting every week, and Bamford's not going to get a game. But credit to Bamford, he's taken his chance as well, and he played a very good game against Villa.
He reminds me of sorry, go on, Shyam.
Externally to the club, they seem to have put a fair bit of pressure on him, I guess, to be the man that scores the goals. Is that something that you've seen in looking at the club, Karthik?
I think the pressure has been high. I think as soon as Leeds got promoted, even towards the end of last season, some of their fans were on his back a little bit, saying, you know what, this might not be the striker we want in the Premier League. And credit to him, when they've stepped up, the pressure's on him, but he's performing really well. I think he's got 7 goals now, has he got?
I think it's 7 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, he's up there, so, you can't blame him. And maybe that's what he needed. Maybe he needed that extra pressure. Maybe he needed the competition for places, and that's what's causing this run of form.
Do you see Leeds, both of you, question to both of you, I guess, I have a soft spot for Leeds, as does Shyam. I don't know if you remember, in the early 2000s especially, we had a bit of an Australian cohort go through there. And they were a great team as well. Semi-final of the Champions League. 3rd in the league, Shyam, was it? Or 4th? I can't remember now.
They finished 3rd a couple of times. That was
third in the league, yeah. They're kind of late 90s, early 2000s. Do you see them pushing for Europe, either one of you? Top 6?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. I don't think... I think they...
Asking someone from Manchester about their allegiance.
Yeah, no, it's a different story for Karthik. Yeah, I guess we're not in there.
For us, man.
It's a bit more neutral with these things.
Yeah.
The thing with Leeds, I think they're very much like a Wolves, where when they've come up to the Premier League, their board, their directors, everything, they're looking at Europe. Wolves were never going to just come and chill out in the Premier League. They were always looking to push for. And I think that's the same with Leeds. I don't think this season, I predicted them at the start of the season to finish around mid-table, about 10th, 9th. But certainly next season, if they make some more signings, they will be pushing, because a manager like Bielsa, he'll demand that, otherwise he'll be off back to Barcelona or something like that.
Absolutely. It was a terrific performance, man, and Bamford just coming up with absolute beauties for goals. Okay, so I kind of highlighted that I thought Liverpool would struggle against Sheffield. I just think they were still a bit of shock. They came out 2-1. I think they got a disallowed goal as well from Vieira from memory. So Diego Jota getting the winner. They did okay. 2-1 against Sheffield, coming out as good as Liverpool are. They you lose your best player, and I think they've done quite well to. As much as I hate to say it, they did quite well to get the win, and I think they have quite an easy streak after this. A fairly easy streak to this. So yeah, Shyam, sorry, go on.
Yeah, they had to fight back in the game as well. They were 1-0.
They did, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they had to show a bit of grit. And we spoke last week about that sort of resilience that they have, sort of being the thing that hasn't really been sort of tested in terms of if a couple of players go away. I think Alisson coming back in made a big difference. And Salah's finish, he takes a lot of shots very early. It reminds me a bit of Raul from Real Madrid, where he's got that quality left foot and takes a lot of shots very clean and very early. And he's got a lot of a lot of half chances he's scored so far this season. It's not being...
Talking about, did you say Salah or Jota?
I was talking about Salah.
Oh, Salah, yeah. That goal against Everton, the very early shot volley he got, for example.
Yeah, and both of the goals against Leeds as well in the first week of the season. Like very early, crisp shots. He had a lot of, like, season where he scored a gajillion goals. He was sort of running in behind defenses and beating keepers and doing that as well by taking shots early. But it's a bit different this year. He's been a bit more in the box. Ball falls at his feet, but he takes them. And it's made a big difference this season.
And yourself, Karthik, what do you, from a very, as objective as you can be, what do you make of Liverpool going forward here, assuming everything stays the same? Assuming Mane comes back, Alisson comes back in about 2 or 3 weeks. What do you make of them?
I think post-lockdown, they started looking a bit shaky even towards the end of last season. I felt the performances dropped way down. And I think that sort of raised the alarm bells a little bit. And now, I mean, you look back at the Ajax game just a few days ago, they didn't look very good there either.
No.
But they're starting to get results even when they're not playing well, and that's a good quality to have in any team.
Yeah.
But I think losing Van Dijk, which is through injury, by the way, he's not dead like Liverpool fans.
Oh, no. But Karthik, you have to understand, it's the first ever injury in Premier League history. No one's ever been injured before this.
I mean, you see in Memphis Depay bring out T-shirts. Where's Phil Jones's T-shirt?
Oh my God! To be fair, though, I will say when John and Risa injured Alan Smith all those years ago, they had this in the cup final, the Carling Cup final back in 2005, I think it was. They had, they had a whole thing for Alan Smith. So we've done it too. But this is just above and beyond. Like, I think Liverpool fans, for me, I've said this 100 times. I love saying this, but they know they've just gone back 5 years. They know they're back to where they were 5 years ago, and I hope they are. But this is a neutral channel, neutral videos.
One interesting thing is that they had the 4 centre backs and they lost Lovren. They didn't replace him. They now lost Van Dijk. So you actually picked Fabinho, I think, as the player for you to watch last week based on that. That centre of the defence is going to be very much tested, and the team is built on that strength that allows the fullbacks to go forward, that allows the forwards to attack. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust and how many games, if they concede an early one, that they're going to be able to continually come back from.
There's so many intangibles that he brings.
We know it's going to affect the team. It'll be interesting to see exactly how and whether they go into the market, because I think they might start thinking about getting someone in.
But you're wondering, you're honestly wondering who. At the minute, who's available? Is Koulibaly something they want to bring in, and all that kind of stuff? And then you're wondering, is he ever going to get back to normal? Van Dijk brings in so many intangibles. Man, trust. Like if you said 5 years ago, I wish we had Van Dijk. Honestly, I mean, I think any team in the world, but over him, I'd pick Ramos. But I think Van Dijk brings in so many intangibles that you can't even, you cannot even, you can't calculate, you can't kind of put your finger on it. But someone said Maguire, when Maguire came in, I can't remember who said it. It just gives that midfield that confidence to go forward. And you just imagine that confidence now. Henderson and Gini Bernal and Naby Keita, the guys who have to sit, they're going to think with Adrian behind that as well. Can I push us forward as much as I can? You can't. Any closing thoughts on that, boys? Getting to the better games now.
I don't think they're going to do much this season. That's all I'll say about them.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll do Everton, then we'll talk about the United game. So Everton losing 2-0, getting a red card. Looks like who got that red card again? Lucas Digne and Richarlison won't be playing against United, so that's great news. But they lost 2-0. Now, Karthik, what I wanted to ask you was, do you see Everton with all their players back in, let's say, 2 or 3 games? Do you see them as a sustainable force this season with the manager at the helm?
The manager's the only one that's making me think, they might just be able to. I don't know if they're going to stay top of the league as they are at the minute, but I think definitely they'll be in the top 6.
Okay.
Carlo's got them playing some fantastic football, and they've got some brilliant players there. James Rodriguez is insane. Calvert-Lewin's in spectacular form. You can't count them out. And just to touch on that game, the Luca Digne red card was a bit of a controversial one. I don't know if you two have seen it.
We saw it. I saw it. Yeah.
I'd like to see what you two think of that, because I thought it wasn't intentional, but you have to give it in those situations, don't you?
Well, Shyam,
I felt that. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's one of those ones where if you go by the rules of the game, you're looking at a red card, but the flavor of it wasn't quite right for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is interesting with. There's so many things that's changed up this league this year, coming from fatigue because of coronavirus, with rule changes, with the likes of Leeds playing what is probably a top 10 level football. It's so interesting to see how chaotic the league is. It reminds you of like you're watching football again, like the 90s again, where there's kind of anything goes almost, except for United winning the league, but anything goes, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. However, these red cards and these penalties they've been dishing out left, right, center has been very questionable. I mean, if I was a Liverpool fan watching the Everton game, I would have been absolutely fuming at the money offside, for example. So, yeah, the Lucas Digne red card, very questionable, but it was more of a rule book red card for me. Moving on.
I think.
Sorry, Shyam.
No, I was just going to say, like, there's 5 teams. So United so I was looking at the table here. They're 15th. They got the game in hand. They can go in the top half if they win. But behind them, there's about 5 teams that will probably just fall off the cliff. Apart from that, because the 5 teams below them have a combined total of 9 points. So there's not much going on there. But above that, it does seem very, very even. And like you said, these additions of Leeds in there, Everton coming up a gear, Villa, they'll probably be a bit like Everton to go revert to the mean. But it is evening up quite a bit. And the whole sort of COVID situation makes it a bit rougher in terms of the way that the season's going to pan out. So there is a bit of shape at the bottom, but the top, I think, is going to take a lot longer to sort of sort out. When you look at, Wolves, Chelsea, Arsenal sitting mid-table, whereas they'll probably get into, if not into the top 6. And then you've got teams sitting there like, Everton, Southampton, 6 with that win. So it's going to be topsy-turvy for a while, which is very interesting.
Well, what wasn't topsy-turvy and a bit boring? United-Chelsea game. Now, Karthik, talk us through that game. Talk us through what went, I wouldn't say wrong, particularly wrong. Like, Chelsea at home, a point, it's only shit because we just beat PSG. But what made the difference for Chelsea? Because I thought we played better.
And Karthik, you not to fall asleep as you explain.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because when I saw the lineup, I was a bit confused because I thought we didn't need to play that kind of a team. I didn't think we needed McTominay and Fred. I thought one or the other would have done.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have started Dan James because it's just not.
Dan James, yeah. No.
Mata was probably a right pick because I thought the kind of game I expected because Chelsea came into this playing for the draw. Let's not kid ourselves. They came.
No, low block. Mata's the best for that. Yeah.
And the thing is, we didn't play like we were playing against a low block. We were playing as if we were trying to still get in behind when you can't do that against a low block. We weren't shifting the ball quick enough. Now, the key to playing against a low block is shifting it across. So playing the pitch lateral, spreading the play. Because when you do that, space opens up in the middle for your best players, Bruno, McTominay, Fred, whoever, to go and create stuff. Now, you'd argue that probably Van der Beek should have played in this game. Mata should have been in the middle somewhere. So that when we spread that, the space in the middle is theirs to play with. But we didn't do that enough. And we didn't create enough, in my opinion. And the chances we did get, we didn't really take. Cavani scores with his first touch. We're all probably celebrating.
Oh, that was so close, yeah.
And my pants are off. But unfortunately, he didn't. And,
So from what you understand, from what I understand, actually, is, I think everyone sees that. Ollie keeps saying it's a selection problem, but Van der Beek, whenever he's come on, he's looked the best player on the pitch. Against Newcastle, he put that pass to, I think it was Mata before he put it to Rashford. His passing, his decision-making, his movement is, I think, one of the best in the team because he's from that Dutch kind of mentality of football. Do you have any reason why, besides what we've seen in the papers, why he's not playing? Did Ollie even want him? Is that a question there?
No, I don't think that's a question. I think we needed a midfielder of his kind because you need depth first of all. We can't be playing Andreas Pereira or Jesse Lingard, so we need someone we can trust there. And Van der Beek is so smart. I think the biggest plus to him is his spatial awareness. He always puts himself in a position where he can play it first time and the combination's on. Why he's not playing, I'm not sure. I can't point it out. It might be to do with maybe fitness. I don't know. Maybe there's something behind the scenes with another player that maybe he needs a few more games before Van der Beek can come in. I don't know. But I think there's a bit of an overreaction according to his playing time. We're 6 games in. The season's long. You're going to get opportunities to play. There will be times where, remember, towards the end of last season, Bruno was looking knackered. So when that happens, Van der Beek's going to get a run of 5 games or something like that. Or when Pogba gets tired or disappears because he wants to go somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I think he will get his time to play. I think he will eventually work his way in. And I keep saying it, whatever YouTube channel I appear on, I always say United should be playing a diamond because that's the best way to get the most.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's...
Sorry.
Go on, Shyam.
Do you think if United stick to that same formation of 4-2-3-1, do you think Van der Beek could play with Pogba and Fernandes?
Yes.
They could do it at home against a low team, but if they're playing a City or a Liverpool, is something that could be viable?
Yeah, I think definitely it can be because obviously Van der Beek, he comes from Ajax where whenever a player goes through their academy, they make sure they play in every single position. So he is more than capable of playing that role. And before we signed him, he was playing that role before we signed him because after De Jong left, he was playing that defensive role, more defensive role.
Was he playing a tackling kind of box-to-box fellow like what we want in...
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought he was more of an 8 or a 10 in Ajax.
He was when De Jong and Ziyech were still about, and then when De Jong left, he filled in that deeper role. So he can play that role, and I think we could see it work. I wouldn't play against the big teams like today, but if we were playing a diamond and with a 6 behind him and maybe Pogba and Bruno up ahead, it can work.
So ideally, what would your diamond be?
Well, me personally, I like my number 6 to be mobile, agile, and fast, and that's Fred. So I'd have him in there. But I think the way Ole wants it, it'll be McTominay or Matic in the 6 with Van der Beek, Pogba, and Bruno in the 10.
Yeah, okay.
And the forwards can sort of play that. It could almost become like a Bruno almost playing as a false 9 with the forward sort of occupying wider areas as opposed to the 2 rigid strikers up front, because that would kind of be where you could get width at times, because obviously the issue with the diamond is the lack of width, but you could do that with the strikers being more mobile.
Which is what we did in the early stages of Ollie's reign, because we had Rashford, Martial as the wide forward, and we had Lingard in the false nine sort of position, and he actually really suited that role. And I think Bruno could play the same, so it could work, and we have the personnel to do that.
It's interesting because the personality of this United team was built around that sort of Greenwood, Martial, Rashford being very quick, agile players and having Fernandes play them in behind. But I was saying this last week, that game against Newcastle, when they suddenly had Pogba, Van der Beek, Mata, Bruno and Rashford all on the field, and they suddenly looked like a passing team. It was just this change very quickly. And it was quite a stark difference, and it was actually much more enjoyable to watch. Like we called this channel 5-yard pass for a reason, being, a simple pass is the most beautiful thing in football. But it was just see United just change their behaviour and suddenly look like a passing team as opposed to a sort of a transitional team or a team that likes to get in behind. It was really quite stark in that last bit in that Newcastle game when Van der Beek came on with the 10 minutes left and they got 3 goals. Yeah, it was like a difference.
Absolutely. I think it'd be a good test against Red Bull, but we don't want to harp on United too much. We'll just kind of finish off here if you don't mind, Karthik. We'll get to the last game. I couldn't say Arteta. Arsenal versus Leicester. Leicester obviously getting up 1-0 with the Vardy goal, I believe it was, quite late on, 80th minute. I just missed that game last night. Had a bit of work to do. But Vardy 80th minute. So they were saying... So I've been saying I believe in what Arteta's doing as someone from the neutral perspective. I think there's a lot to offer Arsenal, but they just seem to all these kind of stop starts. Aubameyang is not scoring. They have got what I think is one of the best midfielders in his position in Thomas Partey, who can be one of the best in the league. What do you think? What do you think's going on at Arsenal now, Karthik? The kind of stop start. Do you think it's just kind of teething problems, or do you think there's something a bit more deeper? They need to replace people.
I think. First of all, Arteta's got them playing good football.
He does, yeah.
At least in the early stages. I think the last couple of games have been a bit hit and miss. But for the most part, they are playing good stuff. Arteta's getting his identity on the team. I think what he's missing is his players. But that could be because he missed out on a lot of Champions League money, obviously, from last season. But they've got some signings and just about got those signings because they had to put workers on furlough. They had to sack the mascot and all sorts of nonsense. But I think they need a bit more. He's not being helped by the board because they don't back managers. They're a bit like ours, but not as bad. I think he does need. I think he's about 2 or 3 players away. But definitely they are pushing for that top 4 sort of thing this season. I don't think they're going to be as low down as they were last season, but I don't think they're going to be troubling the top 4 as much. They are playing good football. The players like Lacazette, they're letting them down a little bit. I mean, having the same number of goals as Wan-Bissaka, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're a striker. You're their best player. And it's interesting that this has happened after he signed his new contract.
I was thinking that just today. I saw that stat today and I thought, wow, that's many United players have done that. Many United players.
What's that with the... Sorry, explain that one. I've missed that.
They've played well for... Karthik was just saying, Aubameyang, since he's signed the contract, hasn't scored a Premier League goal. I think he's on 300 a week or something. I was just saying, many a United player has done that. Many United player has signed a contract and not played, like Phil Jones, just not played. So you make of it what money does to someone.
I'm putting you on the spot a bit here, but have you seen the game or highlights to the game? I wanted to get your thoughts if you've seen it on the disallowed goal Arsenal had in the first half.
I've not actually seen it.
It was a corner that came in, and Lacazette's actually headed it on. They ruled that Xhaka, he technically is in an offside position, but it's more. It seems to be that the goal, at least the commentary that I saw, seemed to suggest that he was blocking Kasper Schmeichel. So Schmeichel's on the line, Xhaka's in front of him, and then Lacazette's kind of headed it, but he's glanced it and it's gone in at the far post. So it was interesting that it seemed to be that it was disallowed because Xhaka was blocking the view as opposed to
interfering with play. Yeah. That is the rule. I mean, if he was, I have to go and see it, but if he was in a position where he could block Schmeichel's view, even if he didn't, if he's in a place where you could argue that he was, then that I can see why it's given as per the rule book. But as we've seen, these rules need updating because they're too vague. They're not up to to context, and they need some context applied to them. Otherwise, it's just pointless.
Well, one thing I would like to see, I don't know how they'll do it in football, but with other sports like rugby and cricket, when they go to video reviews, they actually play the audio of what the umpires are saying or talking to each other about. And I would like to somehow see that in football. I don't know how it would work. Like in World Cups, it might be funny if they're all speaking Spanish or something, but it would be interesting in the EPL if they. I know it opens the door to all sorts of ramifications, but it'd be interesting.
I was saying that. Yes. Sorry, go on, Karthik.
Yeah, no, I'm just wanted to say half the conversations would be them trying to draw the lines for offsides.
Jesus.
Oh, it's not straight. Hang on, lads. Yep, no, yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, okay, now you can check the result. No,
some of those lines, man. Jesus.
It'd be a mess.
I was just saying that yesterday I was watching Six Nations, the Ireland versus Italy game, and I was just talking to my housemate, and I do love how they're mic'd up, and I forgot that they were. I haven't seen it so long, and even watching the AFL Grand Final on the Saturday as well. There are moments they're mic'd up, and that's an interesting. I think the Premier League, I think FIFA in general has this kind of secretive cabal, and that kind of where the way referees make decisions. There's so much kind of secrecy behind this. I'm not getting to the kind of bloody tinfoil hat conspiracy part of the whole thing, but you get what I'm saying. There's a general kind of trickle down feeling that the way they make decisions will never really be revealed. But yeah, and obviously with the VAR, Karthik, you probably know this better than me, but like where exactly is the VAR? I know it's off-site every stadium, and they're kind of talking to the ref, and it's in a central location. They're kind of watching the game concurrently as the game's going on, obviously. So yeah, I'd love to see kind of an improvement on that.
Yeah, it is a weird one because they don't have it in the ground. It's somewhere else. It's in a separate place. So they're not even
it's in a separate place altogether, man.
It's in I think it's Stockley Park.
Stockley Park, that's it. Yeah, I heard
it's like
about that.
It's the weirdest thing. Like even when you're in the ground, like I've been in, like when I'm at Old Trafford, and there's like a weird robotic woman voice that says VAR decision, and I was just like, what's going on? And then because Old Trafford doesn't have a screen, you just see decision review taking place. So it's just like, well, what's happening? And then 5 minutes later, it gives you the result, and I'm just like, well, we knew that.
Yeah.
So it's weird. The whole thing is just a bit of a mess. But I'm glad that this year they're allowing the referees to go to the screen, because that's what made it work so well in the World Cup. And we weren't doing that last year for some reason. It was stupid. But I'm glad we're doing it now, where the VAR should be saying, you've had a mare, go have a look at it. And he goes, yeah, okay, sound. And then he comes and makes his decision.
Absolutely.
All
right, guys.
So I just have one quick thing.
That's fine, Shyam. Please go on.
That is actually the point of VAR. It's not really to make marginal calls. It's to get rid of the really stupid, obvious errors. That if it achieved that by itself, I would be happy. The marginal calls, you rely on the referee's intelligence and understanding of the game. But like Karthik was saying, they have a mare, just change it. I think if that was all that it did, then I'd be happy.
Yeah, perfect. Karthik, I just wanted to get your last thoughts on what you, as the guest for the show this week. What are you looking forward to this weekend? A player, a manager, perhaps a certain game?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm obviously looking forward to United, because I think Arsenal's going to be a tough game.
Yep.
Just looking at the other fixtures now, I think Liverpool West Ham might be an interesting one, especially with the form West Ham are in at the minute.
Yeah.
They could have a decent game. I'm obviously looking at Everton to see how they do, because obviously I want to see how whether they can bounce back, because that's going to be an important part of their season. How do they bounce back from setbacks like the one they've just suffered? And obviously City, they're playing. Who are they playing this week? I think they're playing Sheffield, aren't they?
Yeah, away to Sheffield.
Yeah, I think.
That's a tough one. Leeds Leicester, that might be a very good game on the Monday night.
Game. Yeah, bit of chaos in that game.
That's probably my pick of the week.
You probably got Bielsa versus the anti-Bielsa, don't you, with that one? So sit back versus to take the game to the other team, and that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I got to pick the United Arsenal game. I think that's the game of the round. If I'm going something different from Karthik here, but again, a win against Arsenal. Again, the momentum's not completely lost for United. I think a draw against Chelsea is not the worst result. A draw against Arsenal, you just kind of the wheels come off a bit more. And I think, Shyam, what about yourself?
Sorry, the game of the week?
Your game or your player of the week,
Yeah, I would have gone with Leeds and Leicester.
Yeah,
just because of the two completely opposite styles and just seeing how they come together. Yeah, two good teams.
Perfect. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Nothing. Just I'm joining the football. Join the football.
Yeah, and thanks for watching, everyone. We are the 5 Year Pass. My name is Suddy. This is Shyam, and we have Karthik from the front three who's joined us so graciously with his time. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep football simple. And as always,
keep passing, guys. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, guys.